graduated from USC with a degree in computer science in 2023, which gives me a very nice excuse to wear this hoodie for once. And since then, I've worked as a full-stack software engineer at a mid-sized e-commerce company, CrowdStrike, and 2 startups, one being AI and the other being edutech. And I think a big part of what helped me not only land those jobs, but be more productive at them was the fact that I got a pretty early head start on building independent full-stack projects myself outside of class. And honestly, it's something that I think a lot of colleges and universities are lacking in their curriculum. If you think about it, the only times you'll do full stack stuff is maybe a few homework assignments or a final project in one of your software engineering classes, which to be honest is really not enough. And so in this video, I want to go over how I got started doing it, what I did in college, and why I think it's so important. My first exposure to anything that could be remotely considered full stack was back when I was 15 years old in high school. I started dabbling with JavaScript, PHP, and MySQL, which was just a basic LAMP stack that I had found on Udemy. And although I didn't really build anything useful with it at the time, it definitely gave me a lot of good exposure and gave me a pretty big head start, I think, heading straight into college. And so even though I was a pretty terrible student, I almost never went to class and I crammed all my homework and my studying for tests. What I did do in my free time a lot was build web applications, which I think gave me a lot of valuable experiences. And just the fact that I was able to pick up React, which was a game changer for me, because going from vanilla JavaScript and manually manipulating the DOM or just the HTML was a nightmare. So I picked up React as my front-end framework, then I picked up Node for the backend with Express, and then I also picked up PostgreSQL. And so those 3 things built a very basic stack for me and kind of allows you to pump out web apps with ease because you're kind of following the same template, to be honest. And so not only that, you don't want to just learn to code in React and Node and PostgreSQL, which is kind of end-to-end. You also want to be able to deploy it, right? And so what I did was I went to EC2 and I bought a t2.micro instance, which I say bought, but it's really a free tier. And so you get a free little server spun up for you, and then you can SSH or secure shell in and clone your branch, deploy all your code, and then boom, right there, what you have is pretty valuable experience compared to most college students because most of them never spend the time to even spin up something of their own. And so you've already got them beat there. And then also you now have experience with some frameworks and languages that you might not have really covered in college. Like for me at USC, a lot of it was just C++ and Java, which don't get me wrong, those are great, but you don't want to only just know those 2, right? You want to actually know some other stuff like front-end things or how to write SQL queries and stuff like that. You'll just gain so many little small experiences along the way that just make you way more well-rounded. And so for me, a small one was buying my first domain on GoDaddy for $12 and then editing the DNS A record to point to the IP address of the T2 microserver I just bought. And yeah, that's a super basic skill to some, like very common knowledge maybe, but at the same time, it's just something that I didn't get the chance to do in class. And so it was great to be able to do that outside. And I got to poke around DNS stuff and also learn more about the AWS console, which was pretty cool because it just has so many features for developers to use and you actually get to see how things are deployed at scale. And when I was learning and doing all this stuff, I didn't have any AI tools at my disposal. Especially not in high school, and then I think ChatGPT came out my senior year of college, and I didn't really start using it until after I graduated. But nowadays, with Codex and Claude, it's easier than ever. So I'd really encourage any CS students that haven't started already to get out there and build their own independent full-stack web applications. I think it's super valuable, and it's also really fun. So to summarize, what I would say is just get out there and start building. Especially in today's market, it'll just give you that extra edge. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments, and thanks for watching.